And we welcome you back to On the Hash with the Hatfield. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and Cova Sports TV as we have a special guest with us. He is the head football coach of the Bruton Panthers, who are riding high this season. A perfect 3-0 on the campaign with shutouts against the likes of Northampton, Nandua, and West Point before their big matchup coming up on Friday in Heathsville against the Northumberland Indians. Last year's team started out 4-0, but this is the first time ever that Bruton has had 3 consecutive shutouts and started a season, obviously, with 3 straight shutouts. We say hello and congrats to Barrington Morrison. Coach, how you been? You got to be feeling good at 3-0.
Thanks for having me. I'm definitely feeling great, but we was 3-0 last year, right, and 4-0 last year. So we understand what it takes to get to this point, but we got goals past 4-0. So we definitely try to stay grounded and just keep working, getting better each week.
And last year's team 4-0. This is your 4th season at the helm as the head coach of the school, right?
Yes, 4th year, yep.
We'll dive into your bio and background for those that are unfamiliar with it here in just a moment. But you get to the playoffs, lose to King William for the 2nd straight year. Bruton does have a proud, rich tradition going back to the days when Brian Randall was slinging it at quarterback. We went on to Virginia Tech, and they played in the state championship in 2009, which is not too long ago, 15 years ago. You have a few players on the team that were born. Maybe they don't remember it, but they were born. For you, is that next step, all right, let's have a winning season, get in the playoffs, and then advance in the postseason? Because I don't think they've had a playoff victory since 2013, and it feels like you all are building towards that at some point.
Oh, yeah, definitely. To go off to that point, we actually haven't had a Bay River win in a long time as well. So I haven't had a Bay Rivers win since I've been here. So that's definitely the goal. If we want to be better, we got to take that next step just to beat these bigger teams that we play with in our division and get ready for the playoffs, because we know you got Pocosin and King William. Beat us twice in the playoffs. So we want to beat some of these bigger teams and get ready for the postseason. And the main thing is staying healthy. I think top end, we have talent to compete with a lot of teams, but we want to stay healthy. And that was a big focus and built in depth. So once we get into postseason play, we could depend on some of our twos.
Now, take me back to about 4 years ago. We had a crazy, wild, wacky pandemic. It was a health crisis in our country, but you ended up becoming the head football coach. I think it was around 2021. So football was returning to the Commonwealth, and especially here in Hampton Road 757 at Bruton. What drew you to the job, A? B, what were your first, I guess, things you had to check off the list? And then C, for those that don't know about your background, you had some familiarity with some of these kids from, I believe, the middle school. Tell us about how you know them and what you did before getting to Bruton.
So I came here from Pittsburgh. I moved here from Pittsburgh, played at Penn Hills High School, a really rich high school tradition up there. So I came down here. I worked in the middle school, and I just heard the chatter of a lot of the 8th graders not certain on going up to Bruton. And that really hurt me because where I come from, we go through and stay through our zone. And I didn't want anybody to transfer. So I just said, if I take the job, if y'all ride with me, I'm going to ride with y'all. And it's really paying off. We got 17 seniors this year. This is our first 4-year class coming through. And it's showing dividends on the field. It's really a blessing to work with these kids. And the first step was definitely get buy-in. New guy. I'm not from Virginia, and this new guy just took the position. Nobody knows about me. How do I get them to buy in? And just building those relationships with the parents from 8th grade, 7th grade, and just built that trust. And it's really paying off with the guys we got now.
What about the football side of things? Your playing days, were you much of a player? For those who don't know, give us sort of the background and bio on that end.
Yeah. So I went to Penn Hills High School. Play with Aaron Donald. I got a cousin in the NFL right now, Jaquan Brisker, start safety for the Chicago Bears. But yeah, after high school, I walked on to a Division II school called Clarion University. Worked my way up and became a first-team All-American defensive end, outside linebacker, and had my shot at making it to the pros. So I have the experience, and I've been around a lot of guys. There's another guy that I'll talk about in the middle school level that had a lot of experience as well, that I'm really cool with. But yeah, it's just having that experience with those guys, high-level players, and then seeing some guys that played on even at Division II level that made it to the NFL, and seeing that it definitely was a sticking point to a lot of the players coming here, right? you got to know the game if you want to coach it. So that was definitely a big emphasis of just letting them know my history and just knowing that I know football.
Yeah, you were a heck of a player as that edge rusher, D end outside backer, but you were a teammate of Aaron Donald's, who obviously just a few years back, we're not long removed from him Super Bowl glory. How were you rooting for the Rams? And take me through just the emotions of watching him on Super Sunday close out the game as he's just going after Joe Burrow. And you're like, I know that guy. I was on the field with that guy, going to war with that guy.
Yeah, man, Aaron's an incredible football player. Very humble. He always throws youth events back in Pittsburgh every year, and it's just a good turnout. Very humble guy, very, very good guy. And just playing with him, we always, as kids, you don't really think too much of it. But now we're at this age, like I did play with that guy. And, the same guy that he was in high school. He's a laughable guy, good guy. But once his helmet's on, you got to stay out the way. And he's one of the best defensive tackles of all time. And that just shows the toughness and grit he has because he's undersized to a lot of people. You don't meet the measurables of a defensive tackle, but he's strong as an ox and he got heart for days. So, and where we come from at my high school, we all have that. So we just try to put some of that grit and hard work into our program here at Bruton. And you could definitely see it with our seniors, man. They really bought in, and we definitely are a tougher team than we was 4 years ago.
One more on Aaron before we move on to your key guys. And we see some of the names scrolling across our ticker here on the Hatch with Hatfield on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll dive in on what they've done for you in this matchup coming up with Northumberland. But have you kept in touch at all? Did you make a phone call on any friends, family, as that Super Bowl was winding down and they end up getting the confetti and win it? And do you keep up with some of your mates from your days up there in PA?
Well, Aaron, he's incredibly busy. And I'm not a guy that I'm a very, very humble guy. So like when somebody's doing their shine, I like to send a message here and there because I don't want to seem as, a groupie or anything. So I definitely stick in touch, send a message here and there. But, it's all love. When we go back home, we see each other and we hang out with the family. So I definitely keep up with my friends that I played with. Like I'm the only family I got in Virginia. So it's me and then it's Bruton. So I definitely keep back with my people at home and keep in contact with them.
There you go. Leave the groupie nonsense to the Swifties and the Kelsey and Chiefs fans out there. Let's chat about your guys now. I know you were high on this group the last couple of years. You could see it coming, and your passing game's really opening eyes with Ashton Bell firing the ball to Anthony Henderson Jr., who's popped. Shout out to him as the AD at Hampton. And then also, young man, I know is a two-sport standout for you at Bruton, Brandon Freeman, wide receiver, also an all-state player in basketball. Is that really the strength and hallmark of this team? I'm sure it's more than just those two or three guys in your passing game, but that's probably where it all gets going for you, isn't it?
I mean, those are the headliners, right? You got Brandon Freeman, all-state basketball player, heck of an athlete for football as well. He really knows the game, high IQ, which is rare for a basketball/football player. He's just a high IQ guy for both sports. And then you got Anthony. It's just a freak of nature at a young age. Super long arms, can run. He can run routes. He's fast. He can catch over top of you. And then you got Ashton Bell transferred in last year. He got prototypical size as a 6'1", 6'2" quarterback that could throw the ball, and also got about 200 pounds on him, so he could definitely run the ball. But also we definitely take pride in our running game, so that we know that keeps you going throughout the season. We got our offensive line average is about 300 pounds across the board. So anytime you got a run game and then you got those threats outside, and a quarterback that could get them the ball, it's good luck stopping us. And we also got a running back, Peter Henderson, who is also an all-region wide receiver that made the switch to running back, and he's a tough running back, runs hard, has a pedigree as well. His dad played Division I ball at JMU. So we got some pieces here, and with those two outside guys in the QB, it's hard to stop. I mean, they get the headliners, but we definitely got a run game with it.
For you, was it at all difficult implementing that type of system? Because in the Bay Rivers, there's so much run. I mean, run away in it. You see a lot of teams, and I know you all don't play a complete Bay Rivers schedule, which you can dive into too. And you're trying to break that streak of not having a win in a while. You've played some smaller class schools, which makes sense because other than you and Pocosin, you're the only two Class 2s. You have some Class 4s and Class 3s when you look at the Smithfields and the Lafayettes and the War Hills of the world. But take me through that process of what you were trying to build and how you got this offense, which doesn't matter if you're playing a Class 6 or Class 1. Production is production, and you have the stats, and you guys are getting things done on the offensive side of the ball. And now your defense, which we'll get to in a moment, is also doing it to complement that offense.
Yeah. So first of all, we got an offensive coordinator, Obi Boykin. He's not a stranger to the Bay Rivers. But we meshed well with our group, right? So when we first got here, we were spread to start off right off the bat. That was part in just getting the kids to come out and play football. You want them to see what you're running in practice and games on TV, and then once you get that buy-in, I mean, they're all in. So they can't question anything because they see it on Saturday and Sunday. But it wasn't really hard because you always want to get your athletes in space. So whatever the system is, whether it's wing T or spread, at the end of the day, you got to run the ball and get your athletes the ball in space. So we just happen to have two jump ball receivers that are freaking natures. And, it was a process, though. Towards the end of last year, we went to gun T and dialed it down to double wing offense to get through the season. This year, we're more power eye pistol. So we're more pistol eye. So we like to use our receivers, but we got to be multiple with the guys, get different looks, and just get them ready for the next level. So you got the Anthony's and Brandons that can play next level ball. They got to be able to play multiple levels, multiple schemes. So it's not just 4 wide, chuck the ball up. You got to also know how to run pass block. Also got to be able to carry the ball. And being 2A, we got to also play defense. So we had to dial it down from 4 wide receivers and maybe to 2 or 3.
Tell me about that defensive process, Coach, because last year, I know towards the end of the season, depth is always a challenge for a smaller school, having enough healthy bodies. I think I saw you guys on a Thursday night against Tab where you were in that game, and then third, fourth quarter, the fatigue set in, not having the bodies. How have you all started out with 3-0 and this defense? What's been the difference from 2023 and past seasons to now where it's like, all right, I hope this donut thing keeps going, this shutout thing keeps going. We can keep having that goose egg in the column. What's been the change?
Well, we got an amazing defensive coordinator, Edward Opson. He's a Bruton alum, so he went here. He took over, so he has pride in this school and turning the school around for football, first of all. So you got to have dedicated coaches, and we have that across the board. We got a great coaching staff that really cares about these kids and this program. And then we have some guys that don't got to go both ways this year. So our offensive line, nobody goes both ways. So our offensive line is just fresh. And our defensive line is fresh the whole game. And we got rotation players. But it was just definitely growing up. All right, so first years we started we're starting 9th graders on varsity. Last year we got a lot of young players that was playing. So now we got a lot of older players. So usually we got older players, a 17 player class for seniors. You should have a good defense if they've been putting the work in for 4 years. So that's definitely what we're hanging our hat on because we know to get far, we got to play the Pecosins. And if you watch Pecosin, they run the ball and they play tough defense. And we just want to be in the playoffs and win a playoff game because we're fully capable of it. And I think we got the depth this year. And we just got to stay focused and take it one game at a time. And definitely we also give Krispy Kreme donuts for each shutout. So that's motivation. So every time we get a shutout, we get a box of Krispy Kreme donuts and we reward those guys because it's not unnoticed.
I love that. The coaches deserve some of those too because the kids are putting in the work, but you also have to scheme it up. What's your go-to? Are you a glazed, a chocolate? What's your go-to? You got a go-to?
See, I'm from up north, so we don't have Krispy Kreme up north, but I'm getting used to it.
Then. Y'all probably love the Dunkin' then.
Dunkin' Donuts, but I definitely got to go with the chocolate donuts down here with the Krispy Kreme. They're getting me on it, man. We had 3 in a row, so hopefully we get 4 this week.
Well, let's go there because your matchup is Northumberland, who a lot of people around the 757, if they're on the south or even parts of the peninsula, aren't familiar with them. They're a Class 1 school. We've got them in our top 10 on Virginia Preps, Northern Neck. You know how good they are because just last year you had to play a high-scoring, head-spinning shootout with them. They had a kid go to Tennessee just a couple years ago, and they've got a Division I dynamic player this year. But last year's game, Coach, wasn't it, if I'm not mistaken here, 43-41? How do you slow down this offense, which I believe can put up 40, 50 points points a game against all the smaller schools, and they will pose a test.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people in the area at 757 don't know about them, but, we get a lot of slack for playing smaller schools, but, they had I think Cam Selden was the number 2 player in the state his senior year at 6'2", 220, running a 4.3 40 at wide receiver and running back. So this team has speed. They're country fast. They're tough, and they're always up there with Essex at the end of the season, competing for a championship. And they beat us 3 out of the last 4 years because their speed is very challenging to deal with. But like I said, we've been working and we got goals. And one of our main focuses was fixing our defense. Last year was a shootout. We had to outscore them, but a lot of defensive lapses that game, though. So I think this year we just lock in and play solid defense and hone in on their great quarterback, Tyreek Lundy. He's a really good quarterback and basketball player as well. We just lock in on him and these other guys and just don't make mistakes. I think we have a shot at winning the game.
Well, and this, that Selden kid, as you mentioned, was just a beast a couple years ago. When you get the defense to turn around like it is it so much? I mean, all 3 levels have to be in sync, whether it's the pass rush, the D-line stopping the run, the linebackers, and then your guys on the back end covering the pass. What is the biggest thing early on in a game? Is it getting off the field on a 3rd down? Is it getting a rush, even if you don't get a sack on a quarterback? What from you looking at film, like, all right, if I see this happen, we're starting to turn the corner and making progress in that. How do you go? Because, again, let's be honest, your numbers aren't the same as some of the schools across the area. You are battling with so many bodies. A lot of them have to go both ways. How do you get it to a point where, all right, I see the improvement?
Well, it's all mentality. So defense is all about effort and mentality. So we see it in practice. I mean, we'll go live in practice, even though we got, fewer guys. We got 61 in the program this year. So that's big for us, but some other schools, that's the norm. But we just get live reps in practice and go hard in practice. So when we hit in practice, it's going to treat it like a game. So we take that practice into the game. And our guys, they really have a hunger this year. We always get counted out. We're the smaller school in Williamsburg. So we get overlooked a lot. But we have real good talent. And our kids, they take it personal. Every time we step on that field, we take it personal. Even though the other team has to play, we take it personal, and we just have a hard hat mentality. And you can just see it in their eyes when they're ready on defense. They want to be great on defense. They understand that defense is going to win us games further down the road, and they understand it.
Let's highlight a couple of those defender guys. I mean, you've touched on some of the offensive weaponry with Freeman and Bell and Henderson, but we've scrolled across particular some of the names that are getting tackles and sacks for you. Who are some of the unsung heroes? And it could be even a lineman that goes both ways for you, a special teams kid. Let's shout out a couple other guys if we can.
Okay, so Tyler Pollock, he's a senior, defensive end, tight end, plays H-back for us sometimes. Man, this kid is a hard worker. He's 6'4", 200 pounds. He looks the part as a football player. He's getting some recruiting interest right now. Last year, he was all-region at defensive end, and the tight end, I think he was all-region as well. And then we had a 6'6" transfer come in. He's a basketball player as well, Troy Walson. So at the D ends, we have a 6'4" and 6'6" guy, and that's hard to stop. Bay Rivers, we play tough defense there, good scheme, and having those 2 guys on the edge sets the tone. We also got DJ Banks-Harrell. He's a safety / linebacker. He's been all region 2 years in a row and also all district linebacker 2 years in a row. He's really one of the heart and souls of our defense. Good looking kid, comes downhill, plays no games when it's time to make a hit. And then also Brandon Freeman is just our quarterback on defense at free safety. He comes down and lays the wood. And he also is definitely a ball hawk back there. And then we also got a cornerback, Rodney Verscher. He's really small, but teams test him, and I don't think he gave up a reception this year. He's really tough to get the ball to over, man. He's tough.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Freeman's got an offer. Was it from Emory and Henry he got in the summertime?
Yes, Emory and Henry, and he's getting a lot of basketball interest too. I mean, we got some pieces here, and these guys are finally buying in, and it's good to see. And don't be surprised if you see Anthony Henderson at cornerback and free safety some too.
Yeah, he's one of the area's leading receivers already. It's just a 10th grader. Get you out on this, and we thank you so much for spending time with us here on the Hash with Hatfield. I'm looking forward to catching a Bruton game up there in Williamsburg. I'll give you a little secret, coach. There's a little Italian joint. I can't give the name of it just yet because they don't sponsor the show. They do. I'll give them all the pub in the world. But I went up there last Thursday, with my video guys for the York and the Warhead, which was a field goal, 17-14, and went to this place afterwards, and it's always one of my favorite stops to go to. So I'm looking forward on the schedule to find one. But there's a couple chances there. You got another out-of-district game still with Arcadia October the 18th. But lastly, what's the key for Bruton snapping the district streak, getting a big win on Friday, of course, and then getting that postseason party and crashing it and advancing this year? What would you boil it down to for you guys to keep these good times rolling?
Oh, just sticking together. Like I said, we're just like a family atmosphere up here. Because like I said, Bruton football is like my family. So I take it very serious. I don't do it for clout at all. I do everything for these kids. So just sticking together as a family and just keep working week by week, want to know each week, and understand that we've been in this position before. We've been 3-0, we've been 4-0. How are we going to make it different this year? And that's the growth that we got to have with our teammates and our coaches.
Well, check them out. Bruton Panthers on the road at Northumberland. Their next home game, by the way, is going to be September 27th against the Grafton Clippers before they turn the page to October. Coach Barrington Morrison doing a fine job in his fourth season at the helm. Thank you so much for stopping by. All the best to you. I hope there's more donuts in your future as well as your kids and your coach's future, and we'll talk down the road.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
You bet. That's Barrington Morrison of the Bruton Panthers, our guest here during On the Hash with Hatfield. We'll take a time out here from some of the sponsors that make it possible for us. Don't go anywhere. You're watching On the Hash with Hatfield right here on Cova Sports TV.